All right, let's talk about the Oregon Ducks here for a little bit. Look, obviously, Oregon is transferring, like a lot of their former Pac-12 programs, into the Big Ten. It's going to be a dynamic environment. Everyone following college football understands that the new Big Ten and new SEC, those are the two power conferences in college football, bar none. Love you, Big 12, love you, ACC. You're minor league now, and you focus on the Oregon Ducks, and the moves they recently have made proves that they understand this dynamic has shifted. They need to tweak their whole roster strategy just in some key areas, and they did just that with two massive recruiting wins. Let's get in the first one here. This was from about a day ago, I believe, courtesy of Hayes Fawcett. Breaking four-star offensive tackle Zaire Addison has committed to Oregon. He tells me for On3 Recruits, the 6'5", 285-pound offensive tackle from Tampa, Florida, chose the Ducks over UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. I love what Coach Terry and Coach Lanning are building, and I want to be part of it. Tampa to Eugene, baby. Up to SCO. Let's work. All right, notice the people who Oregon beat out, right? You look at UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan. Big Ten powers there. Obviously, UCLA, former Big 12 team, and Georgia, a team known for building offensive linemen. So, huge win for Dan Lanning and Oregon there. And let's get into the second report here. This is much recenter. I think it was just a few hours since we filmed this video. All right, from Hayes Fawcett once again. Breaking class of 2025 interior offensive lineman Dimitri Manning has committed to Oregon, he tells me, for at On3 Recruits. The 6'7", 345-pound interior offensive lineman from Bellevue, Washington, chose the Ducks over UCLA, Washington, and Miami. It's always been my dream since I was younger. When you stick to the process, you will live your dream. Let's live your dreams. Let's go Ducks. All right, so we're seeing a clear theme here, right? As we're getting ready for 2025, Dan Lanning and his staff is focusing on the offensive line, and they are beating out a lot of their new Big Ten competition to get it done. Great sign for Oregon. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Ducks fans, in the comment section below, love talking offensive linemen. I hope you guys too. It's my favorite position. So give us your favorite Oregon Ducks offensive lineman of all time. There's a lot of really interesting ones. Going to make you pick only one, though. Give us your favorite Ducks offensive lineman and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on these two literally massive moves for the Oregon Ducks?
Yeah, Nate, I think this is great because you kind of pointed it out. There's so many big teams or new Big Ten teams that Oregon has beat out here. Then you look at the other teams they beat out. They beat out Georgia, SEC powerhouse, probably one of the best teams in college football right now. Then you look at Miami. Miami and Mario Cristobal, one of the best recruiting teams in all of football right now. So Dan Lanning winning these guys out is huge because especially they're kind of lacking in offensive line recruits coming from the 2024 and 2025 classes. These are the first two O-line recruits in all of the 2025 class for Oregon. And the 2024 class, only four offensive linemen there. You know as well as I do, Big Ten football is a little bit bigger, a little bit tougher, and they need to be beefier in the trenches. These two guys, like you alluded to, massive guys. Absolute space taker uppers, just huge guys in the center of the field for this Oregon Ducks team. So I think that's great for them. And I want to see more of it because we all know going to the Big Ten, it's more about the battle in the trenches. Who won the Big Ten last year? Obviously, Michigan. What has Michigan been known for? They win that Remington Award. They win the awards for the best offensive line in all of college football a few years in a row now. They're looking very, very good in the trenches. That's what you got to do to be contenders in the Big Ten. Oregon realizes that. They're starting to add some depth and some beef up there in the offensive line. I think this is a great move by Dan Lanning, showing he knows exactly what he needs to do to compete with the big dogs.
Yeah, it's just a different environment, right? Because we see it every year, especially when you get into those late October, November games, those huge games, especially conference games. You have to go to crappy weather Ohio, crappy weather Michigan, or go to Wisconsin, right? Those are the things Oregon's going to have to do, moves like that, trips like that over the upcoming years. And you win those games in the trenches. You win them with linemen, right? It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. It may even be snowy. It's going to be hard to throw the football. It's going to be hard to catch the football, right? That speed, high power, octane offense we've seen from Oregon, it'll do just fine at home. It'll do just fine when you get through September and the early part of October in that Big Ten schedule. But those bad weather games, you need to be able to just turn around and just physically dominate people. if you want to win conference championships in the Big Ten. And I think Dan Lanning and his staff, they obviously recognize it, but it's one thing to just recognize that's something you need to do, right? I think every coach kind of they understand their landscape, but it's another thing to go out and execute and get it done, right? And that's a credit to Oregon staff so far this offseason. They said, listen, little lighter on the offensive line in the 2024 class transition phase, that's going to happen. But 2025, it's a top priority as we transfer to have long-term sustained success in the Big Ten. We need to go after linemen, and we need to beat a lot of our competition because they're seeing the same thing we are. And credit to Dan Lanning and credit to his staff at Oregon because they not only got two outstanding prospects here, they beat a lot of their competition. They beat some of the biggest names in college football, and that is a great sign for the future of the Oregon Ducks.